welcome to Beacon of Creation, a weekly podcast on game design through the lens of Magic the Gathering. I'm Tim.
Auxiliary Otter.
And I'm Cord.
This week we're going to be talking about a game that was played at the Discord and has just come back called Popcorn. The sort of gist there is you just looked at the previous card that was submitted, designed something riffing off of something in that card, either the type of that card or what that card cares about or anything else like that. The idea is gather a bunch of cards and then maybe kind of shape that into a cube after, cut a couple of the cards, make it look like a properly shaped thing. Red Bay sent over some notes. The origin of Popcorn was me reading about a designer doing a set project using ping pong as the basis, where they bounce back and forth around a set skeleton, making the cards work with each other mechanically. Maybe before we get to the rest of Red Bay's notes here, what do you think the advantage of jumping around your set skeleton would be? I know I need this many white cards, this many black cards, this many of this rarity, this many of this type. Instead of just going straight down all the white cards, why would you want to jump around a set?
I don't know if any other designer feels this. Certain colors feel easier to do than others. And since I sort through WUBRG, because that's what Magic sorts it, I sometimes start a project and I will just do all the white cards, then all the blue cards, and then I'll sleep for the day. Then I'll wake up with that manic energy and do all the black cards. And then something will happen, and then I'll open the file project 2 weeks later, and I'll do all the red cards and the green cards, and those don't mash together because I slept between those cards, so they end up being a bit of a mix. And certain colors feel easier than others. So sometimes I'll do the easy colors, sometimes I'll try the hard colors. And sometimes doing the colors all at once doesn't mean they don't connect with the other colors well. So I could see some advantage to bouncing around just doing individual cards or doing elements like that might help designers get through their projects differently so they can get different results.
Yeah, it's very much the kind of thing where you can kind of follow where your designing passion is at the moment and get those good designs that are coming to you out when they need to come out, rather than forcing things that might just kind of be checking boxes.
Yeah, I gotta make my 5-mana common white creature right now. That might be too much duress. You might come up with kind of a boring card in that case, just to meet the quota. I think that is a thing you see in custom sets, or you even see in just old Magic sets, where the colors are very siloed off from each other. They're kind of internally consistent within the color, but they don't really interact with other ones. Whereas if you just read a bunch of random commons from a Strixhaven or something like that, you'll immediately start to see, oh, this matters for Lorehold. Oh, this matters for Witherbloom. Oh, this matters for Prismari. Because a lot of the cards are trying to point at a specific strategy.
I know a lot of old sets used to have those vertical cycles where it was this is the card that is the Punisher card in red, and they had a common, uncommon, rare. We don't see as many of those, I think, in current WotC designs. It's a lot more of horizontals across all colors, and I wonder if that's easier because they can hand a cycle to one designer, or do they put that in the set file saying, here's the cycle we're putting, and different people fill in different parts of the cycle?
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't quite know anything about how they assign who designs what cards, but at least a horizontal cycle feels like it's more likely to help your gameplay than a vertical cycle. A vertical cycle is, I would say, fun to read. Here are 3 or 4 riffs on the same design, but it doesn't really help your limited be better. It doesn't really help constructed cards be better. It's just sort of a novel thing to read. Whereas a horizontal cycle, that can make it easier for the gameplay to work because, I know there's a mascot in every color. I know there's, this kind of spell in every color. It makes it lowers the overall complexity or what you have to devour. And
I have the opposite opinion, Tim.
Oh, okay.
I think it's a lot easier as a designer that I make a lot of horizontal cycles, and I think they look aesthetically wonderful. You'll see that later in this project, as I kind of forced a lot of horizontal cycles into the Popcorn 1 project, and I'm going to see if Popcorn 2 is going to be different. Because I think there's something about making a charm that I go, oh, it's a charm. It's 3 mana. It's got 3 modes, all 5 of the colors. It's easy to make that and set it on a file. But I think the vertical ones mechanically can lead to better decks because you're this is a red cycle of Punisher cards. So when you say I'm a red deck, you can go into those Punisher cards and create a better sense of this is what red's going to do. And, because it doesn't matter what white and black is going to do in the set if the red set has the easiest one was Rebels back in the day. You had the Rebel deck that used all the Rebels that chained off each other. And you had the 1 mana one, the 2 mana one through one. And that created, I think, better mechanical connections for the single color. But now that WotC has been shifting to a more horizontal view, it's led to, I think, easier to read in the file. But I don't want to criticize WotC and their set design. For a draft, they've been doing wonderfully. Secrets of Strixhaven has been great to play, and it's a very horizontal focused set because they do have cycles across multiple things. And I wonder, as a designer, which of those should I focus on, or if I should focus on other things in general.
Yeah. I guess you don't often see anymore, like, a lot of cards in a set that work the same way, but just at different sizes and costs. Even when there's a mechanic like increment in Secrets of Strixhaven, the increment cards are not just like, here's the 2 mana one, here's the 6 mana one. Like, they have all different abilities on them. And they generally don't even put that many of them in the set. Like, there are maybe 4 common increment cards, 3 common increment cards.
Yeah, there's 8 total, I think.
Oh, okay. Whereas it used to be more common to have like, all right, we're doing heroic, we're going to put 70 heroic cards over 3 sets into this block.
I think the place where we do see some of that vertical cycling is in Universes Beyond, in the like this character and then this character at uncommon and then this character at rare and this character at mythic. Right? You'll have the Aang, it like airbends, and then it does like something else and airbends with Flash, and it has the big Avatar one, right?
Where he transforms
I
think that's kind of what people make fun of Universes Beyond for. Like, oh, here's my 6th different Donatello,
Yeah. They did do it in Brothers War with Urza and Mystra, and they also did it a little bit in Edge of Eternities with the kind of like story characters, Tanuk, Hylia, all of that group.
Yeah. Kind of cycling aside, though we'll certainly talk more about that later. The idea here with Popcorn is, or with that ping pong concept before Popcorn, was like, hey, let me jump around the design of a set. Red Bay said that, like, hey, let me do that with someone else, with MDub in this case, and jump around. I don't control every card that gets put into this file. I don't control every card that gets designed, but I sort of influence other people's designs, but based on what I design. What were the themes that you guys remember from the first set?
The themes of Popcorn were a little hard because, as you said, some people tried to force some themes early. Some people tried to add some things that didn't get supported. Some got supported a lot. And I'll go over like some of them that we did actively as the curators go through and support. But I want to hear, Cord, what do you remember when you were playing? Because you put in quite a few cards. I was curious what themes you remember from this set.
The big one is Fortification and Juliet's modified.
Fortifications. Let's recap that for non-sickos.
Fortifications, they're like equipment, but they go on lands.
So you're like attaching something to a land, giving that land an ability often?
Yeah, usually an ability of some kind. Very, very often it cares about when the land becomes tapped. That's kind of how all the existing ones kind of work.
I was just reading that there's one in Fallout, of all places.
Yeah.
Camp. Whenever a fortified land is tapped for mana, put a +1/+1 counter on target, blah, 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 blah. You can't just tap and untap this land. Don't try to do that. We have a couple themes popping up. You said fortifications. I think anytime you have any crowdsourced design project, you're going to have a Defenders Matter thing, which I think also happened at Popcorn.
We had less Defenders than I would have liked because we started out really strong with Defenders, and I was excited because I'm a Defenders fan. And so when someone added some Defenders themes, and then we got to the end of the time, the Defenders weren't supported very much, I was sad. I had to rework a card because it was part of a cycle of some sorts to make a Defender work better. And the other big one we had was Snow. Snow was a really good theme, Popcorn one. We had a lot of support for it. We included a basic in every pack to support that theme and also have a lot of lands that are snow typed. And there are quite a few payoffs. It is nice that it's a subtle theme, that people aren't like completely punished to not include all of the snow cards. And there's also a lot of like 3-off mechanics. I think we had more mechanics than I would like to put in an MSE file. It makes it very hard to tell what is up there. Fortifications, I think, was the biggest at like 17 fortifications in the original 400 card file. So it's a very broad cube feeling. So we have a singleton cube of 400 cards We cut down from the original a little bit, but we added, filled in with some cycles to fill those out. So we had more land cycles fill out some of the more esoteric designs. We did have some fun token stuff. One of the designers, Red Bay, who we mentioned earlier, he submitted Feather Sail, an equipment that costs 2, and equipped creature gains flying, equips for 2. When a equipped creature attacks or dies, create a Pinion token. A Pinion token is pay 1, tap, sacrifice this token, target creature gains flying until end turn, activate only as a sorcery. So his kernel here is Feather Sail. And then we had Ortori submit Drake Hunt, which is 2 and a green, Kindred instant mercenary. And no, there was not very much mercenary support. Destroy target creature with flying. Create a Pinion token. Now, the funny thing about this is later someone brought in Pinion tokens later in the popcorn. And the rule is you have to mechanically tie your card to the previous person's kernel. So the kernel has something with flying in this case. So an Ortori said, what if it destroys a creature with flying? He also connected they both make Pinion tokens. And the second time someone submitted a Pinion token, they also put in a plummet effect, where it destroyed a creature with flying, was the chain off of flying. We have other flying matters throughout the thing, not a whole lot.
Yeah.
But it was funny that it happened twice, that Pinions just result in what we can make green get removal.
Or maybe if you are playing the Pinion token deck, if you have a bunch of Pinion tokens, you can give your opponent's creature flying and then plummet it, then Drake Hunt it.
We had a lot of anti-synergy as the mechanical ties, and that is fine. It does make it harder to support themes, but a lot of people submitted card and then removed that card. And that's fun. I think one of the fun things about Magic is the connective tissue of the cool creatures in the format, and WotC can choose, or we as designers can choose to make it's hard to remove an artifact in this set, or it's super easy to remove an artifact in this set because it's a theme, and whether you want those cards hard to remove, being interesting, or easy to remove is a part of the design process.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like a go-to thing. I see some new mechanic get introduced, some new creature type get introduced, and then I have destroy target, blah, blah, blah. Destroy target minion or whatever. I think that was maybe an early takeaway of like Ice Age and the snow type, where as many cards like punish snow as were snow. So it like really created this thing where like, why would I want to use this mechanic if it's so easily punished? And maybe that's part of what you're running into with Popcorn.
Yeah, I think that similarly as Dragons of Tarkir had like Roast, destroy 5 damage to target non-flying creature, was to help establish like, oh, you can kill the small things and even bigger things, but if they're not dragons, the main theme of the set, dragons get to avoid that. And then, or you could do the opposite of have a card that's really good at killing dragons. Now with Popcorn, since our themes are chained off of just 1 or 2 cards, people can keep relooping cards, like we had Fortifications loop and loop and loop, versus Pinions, I think, only showed up twice. I think there's 2 chains with Pinions, so there's like 3 Pinions total you could have made in the set. And it is singleton, even though we do ask for people to submit rarity, it is going to be a singleton environment. So Drake Hunt would have been really cool in its own limited, as in, I think this may be the perspective of, you're getting these cards like you have a singleton cube you made at home, and these came from limiteds from other places. And Drake Hunt in repeats is cool, because the first copy kills their flyer, the second copy makes a Pinion token that you can use to turn your Drake Hunt into 4 mana, kill anything. And maybe that's a color pie bend or break, but it was fun design, and I think it was an experiment that I think these kind of designs enable, because Popcorn's not punishing you to say you have to make a whole set about Pinions. You don't have to go home and really rethink all of the design choices. That's what the Popcorn team is here for, and we will suffer for you.
So you have these sort of change. Sometimes they last a long time. Sometimes they kind of fizzle out or they divert into something else. You had a little game for us to play here, which is going to help people really get up to speed on what it's like to see a bunch of these cards in a row.
Okay, so both you and Cord need to play this, because I don't think Cord remembers these exactly either.
Probably not.
I've got 4 cards here, and they were released in a linear pattern. One of these was the start, one was the end. And I want to see if you guys can sort the order together and lock in a choice together, because you can't be cowards, and splitting your vote is not okay. You got to agree. So the first card here I'm submitting is Siege Tank by Red Bay for 4 red and a white. Artifact creature, Fortification Construct. When this creature attacks or fortified land becomes tapped, it deals 3 damage to target player, planeswalker, or battle. Stabilize for 4, which is basically reconfigure.
Okay, so I've got this tank that either when it attacks or when it fortifies, it becomes like a siege tank. And then I get to just like fire off damage on things.
Damage to only like non-creatures.
Oh, non-creatures. Oh,
Non-creatures. Player, planeswalker, battle. Yeah.
okay.
Rapturous Anthem. White enchantment. Creatures you control with power greater than their base power get +1/+1 and have flying. By Otore.
Like anybody whose power is higher than it normally would be, either because of a pump effect, a counter, equipment, anything else. All those gain flying.
Then we have Featherstone Statuary. 1 mana from Juliet Artifact Fortification. Tap. Target fortified land is a 2/2 angel creature with flying until end of turn. Whenever an angel you control enters or dies, you gain 1 life and surveil 1. Fortify for 1. Noteworthy, this artifact taps to make the land into a creature, not the land become taps.
Yeah.
I want to clarify that.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different from like an aura. The fortification itself taps rather than the land, so you still get to like tap the fortification to animate the land. The land can then attack.
And then we have Prophetic Messenger from Caillou. White and blue for a 2/2 creature angel. Flying. Other angels you control get +1/+1.
Okay.
Okay.
So in terms of things that probably couldn't have gone next to each other, the first two that we read, the siege tank and the
Anthem.
Yeah. Those probably could not have come together.
I also think the enchantment and the sanctuary, because when you make a land a 2/2 creature, that is 2/2 is its base power and toughness, so that wouldn't apply
Okay.
either.
That means that the angel lord, the prophetic messenger, and the anthem had to come next to each other.
And it also means that the anthem is either at the start or the end.
Yeah, because it only relates to one of the other cards. Yep. Can the lord relate to the siege tank?
I don't think so.
No. Okay. So that means the siege tank only connects to
Is the other end.
Yeah. Even if we got the connections right, we might not be able to know the full
It's
order.
Still a 50-50.
Yeah, because the whole
it could be either
the whole
direction.
The whole chain could flip directions and probably still be legal.
I want to say tank, statue, messenger, anthem.
The tank cares about fortified stuff, or is a fortification itself. The statuary is also a fortification, but this one cares about angels. Because it cares about angels, we've got the Angel Lord. And because we got the Angel Lord, we've got something that boosts things that were affected by the Angel Lord. How'd we do?
That is 100% correct.
Boom.
Yay!
We also just need to remember that Red Bay was the first person to submit a fortification to Popcorn 1.
Oh.
Juliet submitted the most fortifications to Popcorn 1, but Red Bay did start it.
Oh, you read the stats. I like this. What's the working through these cards and designing a lot of them, I think I designed like one of the final cards. That was when I jumped in. When this project kind of finished up, was it more important to make the set in the end, or was it more important to just like have fun popping?
I think it was more important to have fun popping. Red Bay put out a call to see if people wanted to help, and so Red Bay was part of the organizing team. It was the first project I really jumped in here on the Beacon Discord, was to try to commit to this and see, even though it wasn't my like usual way I approach things, I wanted to push myself and try this out. Sheep and Pat also were big contributors that helped out a lot on the first Popcorn. If I'm forgetting anybody, I don't remember, but those are the 4 we have right now on the Popcorn 2 team that are going to be trying to help fix things, make sure we have other things going well in Popcorn 2 and a lot of Popcorn 1.
But that activity is almost more for the people who are super invested, right? Like if someone wants to jump in, they don't have to necessarily like make sure they're designing the right kind of thing. That's more on you guys.
Yeah, we had quite a few designers only submit 1 to 2 cards, and one of our big priorities in Popcorn 1 when we had it draftable was to make sure that everybody had at least 1 card get submitted. Yeah. So we didn't we could cut a lot of Red Bay's cards and he wasn't going to be upset because he submits so many, but which caused some issues when we had the editing process. We picked out the cards that weren't going to make any sense because they had some themes that just didn't function. Some of them were just complete jokes that were fun and good to have in the Popcorn process, but wouldn't make good gameplay at all. Not to say that any of our themes make good gameplay, but some of them just wouldn't function well in the rules, more silver border designs. And we kind of pruned those out. And there was, I think, one of the designs we had to struggle to really find a way to support that design in the theme. It was their only card. So we did work hard to make sure that person's design was finished. Not to say we will do that for everybody who submits only one design and submits them really difficult designs, but we will try.
Fair enough.
I'll say the hardest process in Popcorn 1 was going through and arting the cards. We did want to have Popcorn 1 be a really low effort where you can just submit a card on like a lunch break through text, like you just type out a quick thing, no render needed. And it turned out that it took us a long time between Popcorn 1 and when we could draft it because I had to go through and art so many of the cards. And sometimes people were also designing cards that had made art hard to do. Some of the things I did recreature to find an art to make it work. And now, even in Popcorn 2, I think it's going to be funny to see how many people can keep the themes that we currently have and find art for them. Pat, even though Pat started the bee theme Popcorn 2, he's already had to use Wikipedia once to get just a bee art. We'll see where it goes. Not a lot of fantasy bees out there.
Like the insect, like a buzzing bee? Funny.
We have the biggest theme Popcorn 2 so far of the 42 cards is literal bumblebee bee creatures.
All right.
So arting was hard. It took a long time. We divided a lot of the editing down, but we didn't start editing until I went through and arted at least every card, just so that I didn't want it to be that I cut cards that didn't have art. I didn't want that to be a factor for feeling bad about that.
Yeah. So the new rule is like you have to submit art, but you don't have to compose the card. Is that right?
So the rules in Popcorn 2, we're going to try to keep it very open. The only designs we are prohibiting really is double face cards. And that's not the hardest rule. We just double face cards are annoying. I don't know.
Yeah.
We're also doing a new rule on art. If you submit a card, you need to submit the art, not at the same time. You can go into art debt like 1 if you want to think about it.
Art debt 1.
Yeah, I'll go through and art a bunch of cards at the end. I just don't want to have somebody who has 17 cards they submitted and didn't art any of them. Yeah. So if you want to submit a card and then you want to, like 2 days later, you submit an art for that card, that's fine. Yeah. So one way we're trying to keep it right now is if you submit a card, you can't submit a second card till you art the first card.
Oh, okay.
And we want to make this a fun process. We just want to make sure that it's not a ton process afterwards, going through and making it playable with arts and such afterwards.
Okay. That's a reasonable compromise to me. I guess we're going to try to design a card on the pod today, but before we went into that, you also had a new thing that I don't think is live yet. Is that true?
Yeah. We're going to have a bounty board we're going to try out. And this is going to be something that is very much tentative and see if this gets us what we want for having a fun process for those people who want to go above and beyond the basic chaining of popcorns and kernels. Yeah. We're going to have 14 bounties on this board, and you'll react to the bounty when your card completes it. But fundamentally, the card you design needs to chain off the previous card and connect to that card in the normal popcorn rules, but also can complete some sort of bounty. An example of this could be something like design a card that uses a mechanic from 2 years ago from WotC cards. Design a card that feels like it could have come from old Border Magic.
Okay.
Design a card that uses this art that will put art up on the bounty, and you design a card that matches this art. This will be just really stuff we want to do. We also might try to connect to previous cards in the previous submissions. Like we might be saying, hey, design a card that connects with this kernel from a week ago, and obviously the kernel you're connecting it to.
Alrighty. Do we want to try to shoot for one of those on the pod today, or should we leave that to the people?
Well, Tim, I was going to have you design a bounty for us. That you're going to post we're going to put on the first bounty board.
Okay.
And then we're going to design a card based on just what is currently in the popcorn chain that is not attached to any bounties.
Oh, okay.
So first, let's have you design a bounty.
Is it how wide should I get with my design space here? Can I monkey with the rules of? Can I say design a card that chains off of the last 2 cards instead of just the last card? Is that a legal bounty?
That is a legal thing. I've tried to give something I think more like a design challenge bonus point though.
Okay. What about like design a card that can give itself a discount?
That would work as a bounty if you want to submit
like
that.
Cost 2 less to cast if blah blah blah.
Is that the bounty you want to lock in, Tim?
Yeah, let's do that. Give me a discount. Seems like a fun way to steer people into, because I think that was kind of a conversation with Popcorn and with other, build a set things that I've seen before, build a cube kind of stuff. It's like, hey, we have no removal spells, guys. Like this sort of like almost like guilt process Whereas with a bounty, you could say, hey, you're not being guilted into it. You're being praised for doing it. The bounty is design a removal spell that costs more than 3 mana. Like, that's what you got to do.
The point in Popcorn where everyone was designing 3 mana blue flyers.
Yeah.
Because that's what was left in the space of the. It was the Gwemhill 2-pack.
Oh yeah. You make the pack stuff. Yeah. Alrighty. Well, are we revved up enough to start working on a card?
Yeah, the current card in the Popcorn chat is submitted by Red Bay. Arbor Upstart, 2 and a G, creature elemental, trample. Whenever a land you control leaves the battlefield, put 2/2 encounters on this creature. It's a 2/2.
Reverse landfall. Land. Leave. Land. I don't know.
Land finale.
Land fall off.
Is reverse landfall land rise?
Land.
I like land fall off. Land fall off is that's the one for me.
Okay. Alrighty. So 3 mana 2/2 trample, but your terramorphic expanses, your fetch lands, your sacrifice a permanent you control type cards can get you pretty big pretty fast.
My mind jumps immediately to a land, so I would probably design some sort of fetch land.
Well, I guess if I'm thinking of an environment that might contain like a wide variety of cards and where I might need to play a couple colors, I'm also thinking of like a Harrow type effect, like a sack a land, go get 2 lands, or there's like the creature version where you enter, sack a land, go get 2 basics. But we could do a land too. Do we want to do a fetch land? Does that feel fun?
I prefer to do something that I don't do as often.
Oh, okay.
And actually, the Harrow angle is something I would like to see more of.
Ooh.
Are we trying to stay away from gold cards, or gold cards are okay?
There's a lot of gold cards, and gold cards are fine. We did a little color balancing in Popcorn 1 to add and subtract some colors to get some semblance of color balance, but I know at the end of the day it's not going to be perfect, and that's going to be okay.
Yeah. A thing I like to do is start with the monocolor comp, like the Harrow or whatever. Try to stretch it multicolor, and then after I design the multicolor one, maybe squish it back to monocolor. What other color could we add to something like Harrow? What would it do?
I'm reminded of a couple of red cards from Pauper that are used on the indestructible lands, Cleansing Wildfire and Geomancer's Gambit, which destroy a land, search for a basic, and draw a card.
Oh, okay, Cleansing Wildfire, yeah. Which, if your opponent has one-ofs of really key powerful lands, you can get rid of them. They get a new land, so they don't go down on mana, but you get rid of a utility land. But you're saying, hey, if you have an indestructible land, and then you destroy it, well, it doesn't get destroyed, and you also get the compensation land, I guess.
Yeah, you get another basic and a card draw.
Okay. I guess red green's pretty natural for this kind of land fall off mechanic. Do we want to do a spell, creature? What are we thinking?
Because we've had a couple of battles in this Popcorn so far.
Saddle?
Battles.
Oh, battle. Of course there's battles.
There's 2 battles so far.
I thought saddle. Oh yeah, like we did our design challenge about. Nope, battles. Battles are maybe even further in the pocket than
than saddle.
Than defenders and snow and.
We have 3 battles.
We have 3 battles?
Yes, you, me, and Pat have all submitted a battle.
There we go.
Battleground. That's why the lands are being destroyed off of this battle.
Ooh.
We're destroying lands and then we're replacing them with basic lands because of this huge battle that's happening.
Yeah.
Like a battle that as long as it's around, some thing about lands getting recycled and destroyed, and then the battle goes away and you get a prize or something, right? That's like a rough sketch.
Battles share a lot of space with planeswalkers, where they're kind of an enchantment that does something. Like a planeswalker is an enchantment that does something that can be attacked, so you can make it stronger since it's attackable. Battles are either something you need to defend or something you're supposed to attack. If it's something that we're going to make where you have to attack to accomplish this, we can make it a big reward for attacking the battle that has to deal with lands leaving, which is another connection to have a trample that gets big. is if you hit their
Yeah.
battle, it can reset it. Or we can make this a battle you're supposed to defend that helps you rotate your crops constantly, cycling through your lands.
Hmm.
So we could do where this thing sacrifices lands and then makes land tokens.
Hmm.
So then people can popcorn off that unique token if we're willing to go get make a new land token.
Yeah, I guess the basic thing there would I'm being a weirdo, but the
Haha.
basic thing there would be like turn things into wastes.
No
They
man's
were
land.
colorful lands. Yeah, no man land kind of stuff. Yeah. I was also starting to think with a battle because we haven't seen the second kind of battle yet. There have been many, many custom attempts at battles, but we don't know, Wizards has not found it fruitful enough that they just slammed it in like a bunch of sets in a row like they did with sagas.
We do know from WotC what an untyped battle does do.
Okay.
Which is it functions like a planeswalker. You defend it, and it just sits there and does whatever the text box does.
Okay.
So if you have an untyped battle, it just defaults to just sitting under your control defending it. We do also know WotC did do one of the weird test cards that Cord submitted something recently about that, where it is a control point, which I will die in the hill that I hate 2-card subtype names.
Time Lord enemy.
I'm a Time Lord.
I agree with the 2-word types. I am arguing that it is actually 2 different types, and it's like Turning Point from which is another battle type in You Make the Pack.
Okay.
And the
yeah.
rules are control and turning, and then point is just another battle type that doesn't do anything.
What we're saying is if we want to have like a really trim set of rules text, we are defending this battle.
If you want to commit heavy to having a big unique battle interaction, which we spent a lot of time in You Make the Pack, 8, the Mega Pack, that we spend a lot of time exploring battles, but we explored it in the space of a multiplayer. Popcorn, we have had some people submit cards that feel like they're multiplayer geared, but it so far has been played 1v1, so I think we could afford to just gear it towards 1v1 if this battle type was somewhat useful, or just a vanilla battle. Or we could just go back to just the core of what the person's seed was and try to see if there's a different route there that we like.
Yeah.
I think I am becoming afraid of actually attempting a battle on a podcast in under 20 minutes. So I think I might be just like keeping the flavor of a battlefield, of a war, or something like that, but maybe just back off and do like an enchantment or something.
We could do that. This is just a land that leaves the battlefield, and it could be a battle land. Try to crack that somehow.
And just a very good land base, but it's attackable.
I guess what about like a fetch land, but if you raid, then it's a cooler fetch land.
Ooh.
Oh,
We might be able to get that under 50 words,
Are you saying a battle land that also is a fetch land?
No battle.
Okay. So just a land that has raid.
Yeah.
Like a fetch land, like if you attacked this turn, the land you fetch, the basic you fetch, enters untapped.
And that actually might be a nombo with Arbor Upstart, because that means you're having to put the counters on second main.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty comfortable. Maybe you have a different philosophy for Popcorn. I think I'm pretty comfortable having a card that works with the previous card, but isn't like turbo synergy with the previous card. If we have our raid, our raid fetch that, is evolving wilds normally, but with raid, it enters untapped. That still works okay with the elemental because you can still crack it to make the upstart better, but it might have a different upside with a different card. Then someone wants to design a card that cares about that thing.
We want to make Popcorn very freeform, that people can choose to make it very combo or anti-combo or loose energy. I know earlier in this Popcorn, I saw a card that I didn't see the connection that Cord posted, and I was just like, wow, Popcorn 1, it wasn't until we had about like 380 cards before we had one card that was the thinnest of connections, and it was just because I misread Cord's card. And didn't get the connection they saw, which is what's also cool, is looking at these cards and seeing the connections that you didn't see. If you just scroll through this chat, you can find so many cool connections that other people designed, or maybe they didn't mean to design. So these don't have to be strong synergies, but I think we do have to have some mechanical connection beyond that is a piece of cardboard, this is a piece of cardboard.
Yeah. Well, I guess the other thing is if we lock in a card pretty quick, we could do a second one.
Are there any raid activate abilities even to copy from?
The raid examples I was looking at made me feel okay about the templating I put in the doc.
Admiral's Order is a pretty good one to look
No, I
off
was
of.
thinking
Oh, Bloodsoaked
Bloodsoaked
Champion.
Champion and
Yeah.
Repeating Barrage are the two.
Yeah, I think that this text works. I mean, it adds 40% onto Evolving Wilds, but
There's a
but
slightly better template that I was using recently that I found.
what's
Yeah.
the Fabled Passage one?
Yeah, it's Fabled Passage. I just couldn't remember what Fabled Passage
Yeah.
was called.
oh,
Because it actually enters tapped and then it untaps
It
it.
untaps the land, which lets you get
Amulet triggers.
Yep.
yeah. All right. Yeah, this is like a nice little upgrade. Yeah, I got my land new territory here. Raid hyphen, like you'd see normally on Raid. And then tap, sack this land, the exact Evolving Wilds text it starts with. Search a library for a basic land card, put on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Has this extra sentence on there. If you attacked with a creature this turn, untap that land. Your Fabled Passage example got us like 2 words off of this card that we would have had to put on there otherwise. New territory, the flavor here is more that like you're invading, exploring, doing something like that, and then that's why it's of any type, because it's just like it could be anything.
Yeah, I think this is good. So it doesn't make a full cycle, but it's a good one-off fixing is really useful.
Yeah, that's part of what I was thinking, is that it's like keeping this simple, keeping this straightforward also makes it like quite solid as just a random card to pick up in a Chaos Cube. All right, I think I'm going to post it. Make it real.
Tim's going into Art Debt 1.
Wait, what's its rarity?
Uncommon.
There we go.
Do we want to attempt another one, or maybe not a battle, so that we have a chance of finishing the card?
Cord, do you have that problem if you love certain card types, but you actually can't point to too many examples of good ones of that card type or ability?
See, all the card types I like are the ones that don't have a crazy number of examples, except Sagas.
All right, set the timer at 15 minutes. Let's do our best.
All right.
Cord had one only a couple cards away, so maybe Otter, you can be the judge on our overall direction here.
Okay, so I would want to chain this off of something that can attack easily, so it can trigger raid well, and maybe even another card with raid itself. Like maybe even a card that is like a 0-mana raid enabler, so you could pop this off on turn 1. Would be kind of cute puzzle to solve.
I was thinking maybe some way to bring the new territory back from the graveyard.
I know the card before Cord posted, before Red Base card had Earthbending, which Earthbending onto new territory does work well.
Ooh.
And even Cord's card gave it Vigilance, so you could Earthbend on a new territory, attack with new territory. Since it has Vigilance from Cord's card, it would technically be able to attack and then sacrifice itself before combat damage is dealt, and be able to trigger, get the new land, and then ramp itself into play. But the new territory would be tapped from the Earthbend, so those little puzzles to crack.
I thought your idea of bringing back new territory, or maybe those Cord's idea, that was kind of interesting.
We could have a card that gives you a Crucible Worlds, but only if you've attacked this turn.
Crucible only if you've attacked this turn. Okay.
Like we got a couple cards out there, like they exile cards from the top of your deck, and you can play them only after you meet the condition.
Yeah.
So they're like Phyrexian Arenas, but you have to keep meeting the condition to keep playing the cards. And there's a Rakdos one from a long time ago. We could have a card that exiles cards from graveyard, and then you can play, or just exiles cards from graveyards, and you can play those cards from exile as long as you meet the raid condition. Would be another template for that.
Yeah, not just lands. There's like a D&D card, Kaga, who's a druid who, when she attacks you, she gets Death Touch and mills 2 cards. And then once during each of your turns, you can play a land or cast a permanent spell from among cards in your graveyard that were put there from your library this turn. So we could riff off of that instead of from your library that were just like put in your in your graveyard this turn.
Yeah.
Was it the one from the Jund Precon did something similar, where it had or is this the one that from the Jund Precon from MH3 that had like the milled cards?
Chrome the Undertaker?
Yeah.
during each of your turns, you may play a land and cast the spell from among graveyards that were put there from libraries this turn. You can play your opponent's stuff too.
Would we ever have a red card that could play lands from graveyards? Or is that too green?
I have no problem with the red Crystal Worlds, just as is.
We got a artifact in Secrets of Strixhaven that milled a card, you may play that card this turn. It's a book, it's a mana rock.
Tablet of Discovery. When it enters, mill a card, you may play that card this turn, and then it's a mana rock otherwise.
Lorehold has been very fun. I think I'm still just down for a red card that says raid. You may play lands from your graveyard if you attack with a creature this turn. But what could we give that the second kernel to someone to pop off that's unland related? But that would still just work for giving us a land trigger in a mono red card, right?
Maybe a bespoke type of some kind, like
we can make it a defender so you can't attack with it.
Ooh.
A defender card with raid. Everyone's gonna love that.
Can make it a vehicle.
Yeah, I was just thinking vehicle too. That kind of fits with the piratey vibe. We're landing in a new area, taking someone else, taking over.
Not going to stop me from not doing a vehicle. What if it was a vehicle with an ETB, everybody sacks a land, and then whenever you have raid, so you can play lands again, and it's a vehicle, so it's harder for it to attack by itself?
Maybe playing on the Goblin Guide, Wayward Guide Beast, 1 mana red creatures that are bad for you, or you have to or benefit your opponent in some way.
A thing that feels nice about making a red version of a not always red effect is if it is temporary or you only have a certain window for it. Whenever this vehicle attacks, you may discard a card if you do draw a card, and then you're allowed to play lands that hit your graveyard this turn.
I think playing anything from graveyard, I think, should be conditional, but I think red has enough connective tissue for lands that I think it should be able to play them whenever. So I don't have a problem with just saying raid, you can play lands.
I guess I'm trying to balance that against but it hasn't actually been done yet. So I was trying to think of I don't know. I try to default to non-bendy, even if the bend is in a good place. I don't know. If you're happy with it, you're driving the card. So let's stick with it.
I'm thinking I'm in a 5 mana 4/3 crew 2. So it's a little hard to crew by itself. So you should be attacking with other evasive creatures if you can. It enters and everybody sacrifices a land, and then you get to search your library for a basic to make up for the land you sacrificed.
Whoa.
But then if you get to attack, you can even recur your previous lands down the line.
That's a wild card. Everyone sacks a land when it enters. I guess you're paying 5 mana for not a huge vehicle, so you're paying for that effect. And then everyone sacks the land's a little less bad than regular land destruction. We're probably at least on turn 4, maybe turn 5 when you're playing this. So I guess the disaster situation with land destruction is you destroy someone's second land, and then they're like,
Tremble, 2 mana. Each player sacrifices a land.
Yeah. I turned to the Eldrazi that exiled a land in Vintage Cube yesterday, so I was the villain.
We can also do a little bit of a weird hook here.
Yeah.
Where it searches for a basic land or some other type in addition.
Okay. Base.
Welcome back,
Hive. Base land.
We have Hive so far, and we have one card that refers to gates. And I'm thinking we should support gates.
Oh.
And another card that is a planet.
We have a planet.
Ooh. Do we have a set where we have gates, but they're different gates? They're not guild gates.
Yeah, that is our only gate is a gate planet.
So it's like a Stargate,
Yeah, it's
all right.
Called Hub World.
A sci-fi gate. All right. So this is like a space raider.
I've got it posted there if you want to read the nuances there. When this vehicle enters, each player sacrifices a land of their choice. Then you may search your library for a basic land card or gate card. Put it on the battlefield, untapped, then shuffle. Raid, you may play lands from your graveyard if you attack with a creature this turn. Crew 2.
In terms of amount of text, this is in the rare zone, but are you aiming for a rare here?
I think it would go rare.
Yeah, we're probably a 8-liner, 9-liner here.
We're at 8, though 2 of them are really short. Yeah. And we don't have reminder text for crew. I love vehicles. This is up my alley as far as if we want to make it really juicy, would do it every time you attack. That's too encouraging, I think.
Yeah, multiple land sacrifices gets a lot uglier than a single land sacrifice.
So we could also make it sacrifice only, each player sacrifices a non-basic.
Yeah, I think like in Commander, it's maybe even more punishing to say non-basic because then you likely have to sacrifice your better land. If we're saying, hey, we'd like gates to be in this format, but this card is like extra good against gates because like you're likely to have one of them and you have to
Yeah.
sacrifice it.
That's true. You don't want to be losing a gate to get a gate.
Or you're making your opponent lose their one gate.
Yeah.
And now they can't cast their spells anymore. I don't know.
I think I'm liking Rumble Track Rig as a name.
Ooh.
So this is like a ground vehicle, you think?
Yeah, it doesn't have any evasion or any keywords, so I think just like a big chunky thing. I might, maybe we could change it from a 4/3, make it a bigger vehicle. Could make it a crew 3, so it's 3/5, and then it's for like 7. It's a 7/1.
Yeah, we're kind of in the Aether Drift vehicle mode of like, I enter, I do a pretty good thing, and then I am a so-so vehicle.
Weird
like,
equipment. Yeah.
Yeah, not to be negative, not to say it should be more powerful, but just to align it with other cards that exist. Like this is less about being a vehicle and more about all these weird effects that you get because of having it on the
Yeah,
battlefield.
and Popcorn, we don't want to spend too much time working on the numbers, so I think I'm just going to submit this, and I might change the numbers later when I can edit it later. But fundamentally, I think we have the good core of something that gives you Crucible Worlds. It's hard for it to attack safely. Didn't even call dibs, so there's a chance someone could submit this before I get it mocked up properly.
In the next 3 seconds.
Could happen. There we go. Locked it in.
Yeah, so that's like a nice little glimpse into what it's like to design these cards. Like we did these sort of collaboratively, but like overall this process is like I come up with an idea, I like this idea, I workshop it a little bit, and then I slam it in there, and then everyone else deals with the consequences. Whether that's because you introduce Defenders Matter or battles or whatever else. Do we have a guess as to like how long Popcorn's going to be running? Do we think this is going to take like a month or so? Like I don't quite remember how long the first Popcorn went.
Last time took a little over 3 months, so we put that as our hard cap this time.
Okay.
But we would like to get 400-ish cards and then call it good there and tram it, fill it out some cycles from there.
Cool. But yeah, hopefully people are encouraged to hop into Popcorn. This is like maybe even more fast paced than something like a design challenge, and I'm hoping that people can have some fun with it. Before we wrap up the episode, I want to remind people about our monthly design challenge. And this month's challenge for May is Swamps and Marshes Appreciation Month, a land or non-creature artifact that can produce black mana. Like this could be just like a cool black land with an ability. This could be some artifact that, some sort of mana rock. If you want to go a little further, we've got bonus points. One of those is a cow and a bean. Give the card an adventure, omen, or prepared spell. Those are the little mini cards within a card. We saw those in Strixhaven, Eldraine, stuff like that. You've got a land, but it also has an adventure. You've got an artifact, but it also, has an omen or something. I guess an ominous artifact is pretty good as a seed. And then our other bonus point is it takes 2. You're happy to have this card in multiples. So something about this card doesn't have to be counts. Doesn't have to be like for each of XYZ land you have, it gets better. It just means that like legendary creatures aren't that great at multiples, for example. So give us something where you put a bunch in the deck, enjoy having a bunch in play at the same time. Yeah, and that'll be due May 29th. So you got a couple weeks to get that in. And that's about it for our podcast for the week. Hop on the Discord. That's all we've been talking about today is all Discord-y stuff. This is a really fun place to, join, observe for a little while, jump in, submit some cards, get in some discussions. And then also I want to thank both of you for coming on, Otter and Cord. Anything you want to tell people about?
So as some people may know, in my free time, I do music stuff. And one of the groups I'm part of is a choir, and we just released a new album. It's out there on, I believe at this point, almost all of the streaming services. So if you are interested in some, classical choir music, we've got a fun album that we recorded over the summer that is got my voice on it.
What should we search for?
But if you
Yeah.
search for Ragazzi Continuo Dedication,
Say that again. Regatta.
Ragazzi Continuo, Ragazzi Continuo.
Otter, anything you want to tell people about?
Just more popcorn.
All right. Love it. If you need to find any of us, once again, Discord is the right way to do that. And thank you, everyone, for listening.